Welcome back to the Tiny Room Hanger. This is Mike, and today I want to talk to you about the HazLab campaign that's going on right now for a Star Saber, and I'm going to talk about a few points. People asked my thoughts and my opinion on this, so I'm going to share, but I'm going to give you both ends of this conversation. So we're going to talk about the project. We're going to talk about why is it HazLab, why is it not Generation Select, why is it not a mainline retail release. We're also going to talk about how this is guaranteed to back. There is no chance of this not backing. So all the people saying that it won't back, they just don't really understand what Hasbro is going to put into this. Also, we're going to talk about unlocks, and we're going to talk about the pluses and the minuses, the positives and the negatives coming up. So first off, what exactly is this campaign? Well, we have a Star Saber for $179.99, so $180. It's got to be backed by October 10th, so you got a little over a month and 10 days, or a little under a month and 10 days, right around there, to back this. And what you're going to get for that price, if they hit 11,000, which it's guaranteed they will, you're going to get the 1-inch Brain of Courage Brainmaster figure, a 5-inch Autobot Saber figure, an 8.5-inch V-Star Jet to help with the combining of it, and then a 7.5 Victory Leo, which also combines with it, a Sword of Justice accessory, and then total 3 figures of Jet accessory and instructions. Starting at the bottom, or the smallest one, the 1-inch Brainmaster. This thing is smaller than a Headmaster or Titan's Return Titan Master, and so this is at 1 inch. It's pretty detailed for being so extremely small, but it's pretty much exactly what I expected, with little to no articulation, and even less articulation than we got with the Titan Masters, because I don't think the head moves at all. But if the head moved, you probably would snap that really tiny thing off there. So anyway, this is going to be inserted as the head in the next robot that we look at. So we've got the Saber figure, and that terrible term converts into Victory Jet mode. It transforms into that jet mode, by the way. So this is what you get with the, I think this one here was the 5-inch Saber figure, and it looks like you expect. Now I've got third-party one of these. I had a Masterpiece one, and I'm sticking with the third-party one, which is good. And this is good for what it is, so I can kind of keep up with what they've got going on and how this is all working. Now this is the total combined jet, but the very front, or the tip, or the nose cone of this is kind of where that last figure we just looked at slides into there, and the rest is the big, I think they call it 8.5-inch jet, which is going to sort of, in a way, be a Power Master piece, like the Power Master Optimus Prime kind of deal. So this is kind of a combination of multiple gimmicks from back in the 80s, and we didn't see this in the US. This was more of a Japanese only release, but it's still kind of cool. I mean, it's kind of cool concept that they came up with back in the day. So then all of that you combine to get your Star Sabers. This is what he looks like when he's combined, and it looks pretty good. I mean, it fits the bill. We could pick it to death, and I'm sure a lot of people want to pick it apart and pick it to death, but I do think it looks pretty good. The legs just are weird how they're like giant open, but there's a couple of little piddly things here and there on it. But as you kind of build this and build up to Victory Saber, when you build the total Victory Saber, it looks better and better and better and less flaws. So then we get the Victory Leo. So this is the figure on the left transforms into this kind of a lion on the right, and you look at this here and you can kind of see, like, okay, how does it transform? Where is everything moving? Where does it go? But it also turns into the lower feet of the Victory Saber itself. And then here you go with it fully in combined mode, and it does look pretty good. And you notice that the flaws we're about to talk about when we get to the negatives part of this, that you don't see them in this so much. You see a little bit, but not a lot. So I think they did really a pretty good job representing the character for this figure. But I think that when you see a digibash, the Illusory Monk digibash, and he did a great job there. And Illusory Monk usually does photography, but this digibash is outstanding. And I guess Cheebs took the day off on this one. But this looks great. If it comes out looking like this, it's going to look amazing. If the colors match like this, if it's this vibrant and all of that. Now, I don't know if the paint's going to be this vibrant. I don't know how it's going to look when it's done. And we haven't seen the painted mock-ups just yet, but this looks 1,000 times better than the picture we just previously looked at. So this makes me even more excited for what it could possibly look like in the future. So what are the positives behind this? That for $180, you're getting a Victory Leo and a Star Saber that combine to make Victory Saber. Now, the thing about all of this is that every time in the past you had to buy them separate. And buying them separate, there's a long period of waiting between it. Like, you got the Masterpiece one, and then KFC made theirs to add to the Masterpiece. But Takara never made the Victory Leo to go with their Star Saber. So that sort of feels like a bit of a fail. You had to get to a third-party company to get it done. Takara never did it. They're doing it out the gate with this, and I really think they're kind of making up for lost times or past mistakes with this project. The next positive is going to scale with your chug. So it's going to be smaller than any of the third-party or the Masterpiece one, but it's still going to be a good size. It's going to be around the size of the Jetfire, the Commander class Jetfire, maybe even a little bit taller than the Commander class Jetfire. So you're looking at 2.3 times the price of the Jetfire to get to this. So that does kind of make sense. It needs to be bigger. There is more engineering that's gone into this than Jetfire. So I mean, kind of with the price piece, the price is an iffy kind of thing, but the price is extremely low for HazLab, if not the lowest price HazLab's put out so far. So a lot of people ask, why not make this a Generation Select? Why is this a HazLab? Why is this taking up a slot of a dream project that could be a dream Transformer project that we've never gotten and may never get at retail for something that's $180? I mean, $180, they put Titans out at retail at $160. Why can't they do that with this? So there's a couple of reasons here, but first of all, the Generation Select did put out this Piranacon, which there was absolutely no reason they couldn't have made the Piranacon, like Combiner Wars and all that stuff, but they made basically a Combiner Wars figure years after Combiner Wars was over, so they did it in Generation Selects, and it was sort of an online thing, but people loved it. They went crazy for this. This was highly, highly, highly sought after, especially if you have all of the other Combiner Wars combiners. They wanted to have this too, but this is a different story than the Piranacon. So where this really differs is the fact that it is Japanese-based media. Hasbro really likes to have media behind whatever they make, and it's helpful. If you notice, they've been putting their own media out to promote what's going on with Transformers, and with G.I. Joe, they actually ran previous cartoons up to the Snake Eyes movie to promote the Joe line, and they like to have media to support what's going on. Even with like the Ghostbusters they're putting out, there's a movie coming up. If you look at all this, there's some sort of media. But the U.S. market is usually what HazLab caters to, and I'm going to be very open about that. They cater to the U.S. market and Canada. They've been trying to include other countries in this, which this campaign is going to be very heavily dependent on countries outside of the U.S. And so with that, they are bringing in as many partners as they can, and I think that that's going to be part of how it backs, by the way. But I believe that they made this HazLab instead of putting it on the shelf stores or just putting it up for Generation Selects because they didn't feel they truly had the full support of the U.S. market because this is not tied to U.S. media. And they're actually right. So I want to talk a little bit about why I guarantee that this thing is going to fund. This thing's going to fund because Hasbro's going to do whatever they have to do to make this thing fun. Whether it is to put a little pressure on their partners to maybe buy some of the stock and they can have the stock to sell down the road or whatever. I truly believe that this is going to happen no matter what. And 11,000 is not that far. It's not that big of a stretch. Seeing as there's already 5,267 backers only a few days in, we have 38 days left. So we're going to hit it. Now, do we hit all the stretch goals? That's a different question, but they are going to utilize every single partner that they have to get this thing funded and sold. But I do want to mention something about the UK and Zavvi. I believe they're UK based, but the UK price is the same price as the US price, except it's priced in pounds. If you factor in conversion, the UK customers are paying more. Okay, so let's talk about the unlocks real quick. So at 14,000, you unlock this cannon here, and so that's something. You get a gun. I really think it should just go with it, but okay, 14,000, you unlock the cannon. So that puts into a question, what about all the other unlocks? What else are we going to unlock at the other points of 17,000 and 20,000? And will this hit 20,000? And with the Marvel Sentinel and the Marvel Galactus hitting, 30-something thousand, 38,000 or something like that, sounds like they don't have a high level of confidence in this. They're looking at it because of Unicron, but Unicron was priced at $600, and this is priced at $180. I'm pretty sure this is going to hit the 20,000. So next I want to get into the negatives, because there are negatives. I mean, nothing's perfect. This is not the perfect ideal one. But the first negative here is the waffling. You're paying for a premium product at a premium price, and they're bringing you down to earth that this is a chug scale mainline release at a HazLab product price and a platform to give you a figure you should be able to buy at Walmart. And you look at a few of the things. First of all, look at the guns. Every one of the guns has that Combiner Wars waffling. Like somebody that designed Combiner Wars said, hey, I know how we can knock 38% less plastic out of these. So we can knock 38% of plastic out of these. We can make them lighter, make them cheaper, and all of that stuff. And yeah, it is cheaper and lighter for shipping, so cheaper shipping. But the inside of the legs, the thighs are all waffled like crazy. The undersides of the guns are waffled like crazy. And then you can also look, the other thing is that you look at underneath the Leo's forearms, there's a big opening gap right there. And then you look at the inside of the forearms on the Saber figure, and there's big gaps there. Now, none of this stuff is visible when you have it in combined mode, which is kind of why they felt like they could just get away with it, because most people are going to display it in combined mode, not, oh, let's have all these together on the shelf. So the next negative is a combination of price and availability. It should have actually been a commander class, in my opinion. An $80 commander class, just made it, put it out. If they buy it, they buy it. They don't, they don't. With this type of figure and this type of release. But again, we talked about the fact that since the U.S. market's not tied to the media, that it may not go over well in the U.S. So this needs to be like an international sell. But it really feels like a commander class to me. Until I see some comparisons side by side, I really want to see a comparison side by side with commander class, because that's really what it feels like. I mean, if you compare it side by side to Unicron, Unicron's way bigger. So if you compare it next to the Galactus and all of them, they're way bigger. I know this is way cheaper than those, but it's still more expensive than a commander class. And this set is $85, and that seems kind of pricey for this set if you think about it. But it's still the same amount of, pretty much the same amount of plastic, more or less, number of figures, scale and size, and all of that goes into this. Now these are all just reissues. They're having to make all new molds. I understand that, but it's still in my mind. I'm thinking $180 for basically 3 figures that combine together feels kind of odd, when $85 is a lot of money for this. And lastly, the last topic I really want to talk about is what should they have made instead. Now I would have rather them say, okay, we can't make Titans like we used to. We can't make them as big as we used to. We can't make them as full as we used to for 160. So for 180, we'll give you a full-on Metroplex, a G1 Metroplex. We'll give you a Metroplex that doesn't have waffling in it. We'll give you a Metroplex that looks good, because you're never going to get a Metroplex, a real masterpiece one. So you've got the masterpiece collectors that are excited. You've got the Chug collectors that are excited. But they also kind of shot that down this past week by revealing something that almost guarantees they're making this anyway, and they're just going to put it out at retail. They have the confidence in a Metroplex. They don't have the confidence in a Victory Saber. So, what do you think about this project? Are you in on it? Are you for it? Are you against it? There's no right or wrong answer. There's a lot of people that are for it. There's a lot of people that are not going to touch it, and that's fine. And that's exactly what HazLab's good for, making projects not everybody wants. Was this a waste of a slot that could have made something else? Who knows? But it's going to happen no matter what, whether you want it or you don't. And if you do want this, please do not wait. Fund it, get in it, buy it, because you'll pay double for it a year from now if you really, really want it. And it'd be much better to get it at $180 and not pay $400 to somebody on eBay a year from now. But I don't know if I'm in on it. It was a hard no at first, but I'm starting to warm up to it just a little bit. But I think I might just stick with my Iron Trans. Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Titanium Hanger out.